It's not their genius. It's not their fame. It's not their talent. And it's certainly not their luck. None of these things are the true reason for the vast sums of money these people are worth. But there is one thing that they all share in common. They've secretly mastered wealth manifestation and admittedly have used it to achieve incredible things. They have become gods of manifestation. And now, for the first time ever, it's finally your turn. More often than not, the most mind-blowing, reality-shattering stories are not works of fiction. They are true stories. You know what they say, truth is stranger than fiction, right? I want to make you a promise, but first, sit back, relax, put your phone on silent, close Facebook or whatever else may be distracting you, and pay attention to this, because I can guarantee you what I'm about to share with you will not only blow you away, it will change your life in ways you couldn't even imagine. I want to tell you the story of one seemingly ordinary woman named Cynthia Stafford, who used the power of manifestation to win $112 million in state lottery. Now, to put that into perspective, the odds of winning that lottery are 1 in 302 million. I know that's hard to comprehend, but just to put things into perspective, the chances of being struck by lightning are only 1 in a million. The chances of becoming the President of the United States is approximately 1 in 10 million. The odds of you getting struck and killed by an asteroid are 1 in 75 million. Winning this jackpot is 4 times harder than being struck and killed by an asteroid. Now, this is where the story starts to get weird. You see, not only did Cynthia win this Mega Millions jackpot, but she also won the exact amount of money she wanted to win. She told people she was going to win precisely $112 million. I don't have to tell you that the chances of not only winning the Mega Millions jackpot and also winning the precise amount of money you wanted to win is all but impossible. Or is it? I can promise you that within the next few minutes, you'll see that her winning the lottery was not just pure dumb luck, but in fact, something that she consciously manifested. And I'm going to show you how she did it. But before I get into that, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mason Henderson. I was what most people would consider a pretty normal guy. I led a fairly normal life. I was living the bachelor's life, a few years out of college, and working at a job that I was not happy with, to say the least. I have always been skeptical by nature, and if someone were to share with me what I'm about to share with you right now, I would have been the first person to roll their eyes and totally dismiss what they were saying as crazy. That is, until I had an experience so profound, which I'll get into later, that it shook me to the core and totally changed who I was, what I believed, in my entire life going forward. My life could have continued down the path I was on, but the universe has a funny way of leading you to where you need to go. Just like I can 100% confidently tell you that there is a reason why you happen to find my presentation today. It works both ways, however. In Cynthia's case, she had a plan, and she used the universe to help her get it. All $112 million of it, the exact amount she wanted. Now, I know you may be thinking, okay, this is just some freak occurrence of someone getting extremely lucky. Well, I don't need to remind you that the odds of her winning the lottery for the exact amount she wanted are probably 1 in a trillion. The thing is, there are many other extreme examples of people manifesting wealth like this. For example, take the story of Jonathan Vargas, an ordinary construction worker. He was able to tap into his intuition and a mystical, almost angelic voice in his conscience that told him to put very specific numbers down on the South Carolina Powerball. It doesn't stop there, though. Consider the case of someone named Richard Lustig, who won the lottery grand prize not once, not twice, but 7 times. At some point, you begin to realize that there is something else going on here. And it isn't just plain and simple luck, as we like to call it. What I've discovered is that all of these people have one thing in common. They're all using a form of manifestation in order to achieve incredible success and wealth. And this is something that you can learn how to do yourself. You do not have to be lucky in order to do it. If you follow my presentation all the way until the end, you're going to see exactly what I mean. You see, it's not just these people who win the lottery that are using and have a deep understanding of the principles of manifestation. Mega celebrities such as Oprah and Jim Carrey have capitalized on these methods to build up their very own financial empires from states of poverty. Jim Carrey used and took advantage of the same principles of the universe that the Mega Million-Dollar winner Cynthia did to manifest an incredible amount of success and wealth directly into his life. Just listen to him describe what he did.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years, or 3 years maybe. And I dated it Thanksgiving 1995. And I put it in my wallet, and I kept it there, and it deteriorated and stuff. But then just before Thanksgiving 1995, I found out that I was going to make $10 million on, I think it was Dumb and Dumber, maybe.
Dumb and Dumber, yeah. So you visualize yourself like...
Yeah.
Do you see a pattern here? He didn't just get a lot of money. He got exactly the same amount of money he wanted, $10 million. Just like how Cynthia wanted $112 million. They both got exactly what they wanted. It's not just him either. Take the case of Oprah Winfrey. She is arguably one of the most successful people of all time. She grew up poor and came from a broken home, only to go on to become one of the wealthiest, internationally recognized celebrities in the entire world. How did she do it? Well, I'll let her answer that for you.
Bored anymore because I am a powerful manifester.
Oprah has been using manifestation for multiple decades now, and from time to time, she will drop hints about it, like she did right here.
You have to meet the vibration. You can't be above or below it. It's just what I was talking about, negative energy, positive energy. In order to draw the thing to you that you want to come, you can't want it so much that you fear that you won't get it.
Does it surprise you that someone who is a billionaire with worldwide fame is talking so seriously about manifestation? It shouldn't. Even world champion athletes openly talk about the power of manifestation.
Conor, you've been dreaming about this moment. You've been talking about this moment. Honestly, though, does it feel the way you thought it would?
Yeah, it does. It feels beautiful. I dreamt this so much, so clearly, so precisely, and so frequently that it has manifested itself into reality. And that's what I am feeling right now. It's a dream come true.
This list goes on and on. Powerful, successful, wealthy people from all around the world utilize relatively unknown techniques in order to achieve their dreams. Of course, you're not getting the entire picture here, but you should by now start to realize that there is something to this. As Cynthia says, you need to stop thinking about getting wealthy as just being lucky and start thinking about wealth as a form of energy, an energy that you need to learn how to attract. Now, I know at this point you might be thinking, Mason, those are great stories, but still, I'm not sure I believe in all of this. Look, I totally get it. The old me would feel the exact same way. Let me assure you, this is not some woo-woo nonsense. This is as real as the sky is blue. Of course, some people were skeptical of Cynthia, and some were downright suspicious about her lottery winnings. When asked if she practiced magic, basically insinuating that she was a witch of some sort, she replied by saying, "No, I'm not into magic. It's about your belief. What you believe in strongly will manifest, and does." Just imagine an ancient African tribe from thousands of years ago seeing a modern-day airplane fly overhead. They would marvel at its existence and assume it was some sort of magic. We all now know that an airplane flying through the sky is the result of technological breakthroughs and simple physics. And once you start delving into these lottery winners, celebrities, and sports superstars that talk about manifestation, you begin to realize that many of the themes are connected. It's a system, a beautiful, universal system that they're using that capitalizes on the laws of our universe. Once you know how to harness this vast power, you too can begin your own journey to manifesting wealth and success in whatever you wish to do. Just like riding a bike, once you finally grasp the concept and learn how to do it, it will be a skill that you will have for life. Now, for full disclosure, I want to walk you through the life-changing event that happened to me that turned a regular sports-watching, beer-drinking working professional into someone passionately involved in manifestation, spirituality, and helping others. Although I am wealthy now, it wasn't by winning the lottery like Cynthia and some of the other people I've mentioned. I have won the lottery several times in my life, but not for millions of dollars. This was never my goal, however. My goal, believe it or not, was to be able to support myself by writing. Ever since I was young, books and the incredible landscapes they could paint in my mind fascinated me. However, somewhere down the line, I gave up on this and took a regular job, selling insurance. No offense to you if you're in this same business, but for me, it was not a good fit. My head was constantly in the clouds, thinking about the books I was planning to write or the next blog post I would churn out for a few of my clients I moonlighted for after work. Every day at this job, I felt it took more and more of my soul. It was robbing me of my happiness, let alone barely allowing me to sustain a comfortable lifestyle financially. After going through a terrible breakup with my longtime girlfriend, I was left heartbroken. While I was feeling like I was at a literal rock bottom, I decided that I was going to change my life. I was determined to figure out a way to finally achieve my dreams of becoming a full-time writer, to get into shape, and to find love again. I felt like I had nothing to lose. I started by reading several books about self-help. Most of them I thought were just basic, common-sense advice, but good advice nonetheless. I eventually started getting more into spirituality and manifestation techniques, which eventually led me to something I kept hearing about. A healing ceremony based in the Amazon jungles of Peru that involves the drinking of an ancient brew that is created by combining two specific plants only found in the Amazonian jungles. At the guidance of an experienced shaman, this mystical brew will induce mind-altering states of consciousness that will, in theory, allow you to have a breakthrough with your own personal life and any problems or obstacles you may be facing. Now, I know this sounds absolutely crazy, and it was, but at this time in my life, I had nothing to lose, and I was willing to try anything. I know you're also wondering what on earth this has to do with helping you manifest wealth, but trust me, it will all make sense in the end, I promise. I read incredible testimonial after testimonial of people recounting their experiences there in the jungle and the incredible transformations they experienced. So I reserved a spot, put in for a week vacation, and headed out to Peru to hopefully find the answers I was so desperately seeking. As I arrived, I met a few other people from around the world, 7 to be exact, who had all arrived around the same time I did. We had all come there seeking different answers. We all had a common goal: to change our lives. As I got acquainted with some of the people there, I took a moment to walk around the retreat, which was nestled deep inside the jungle. What have I gotten myself into this time? I said to myself. Every direction I turned was covered in lush green and filled with sounds I was not familiar with. It was beautiful, mysterious, and also scary, all at the same time. After completing the proper fasting period, it was time for the ceremony to begin that night. Our guide was a small, unassuming man named Esteban. We talked briefly, and I explained my background to him and my intentions for coming to this retreat. He smiled and nodded, and gave me a reassuring pat on my shoulder. That night, as we all gathered in the circular wooden room, one by one, Esteban called us up to take the cup and drink the mysterious ancient concoction. When it was my turn, I began to sweat because I was so nervous. I took the cup back to my mat in my section of the wooden hut and drank it. It was by far the worst thing I have ever consumed in my life. The best way I could describe it would be very strange and potent-tasting muddy swamp water mixed with fibers throughout it that will get stuck in your teeth. After I consumed the drink, I laid back on my mat and tried to relax. I started to feel sick, and apparently so did a lot of other people there, as many began to purge themselves into the buckets next to each of the mats. I focused on the chanting of the shaman. It sounded mystical and was definitely not a language I recognized. The smell of fresh sage filled the air. As I closed my eyes, I began to see strange geometric shapes appear, dancing around, of all different types of the most beautiful colors you've ever seen. I focused on Esteban's chanting and the calming music he had in the background. Suddenly, the geometric shapes began to become more and more complex in my mind that I was seeing. I began to hear a high-pitched noise build and build and build in my mind until suddenly I was lost in my thoughts and my mind was flooded with visions. I felt as if I was directly downloading information into my consciousness, and there was something guiding me. Some call it Mother Aya, others call it God. I saw every aspect of myself at the same time, from multiple perspectives. Everything I have ever done or said to hurt someone, I felt it from their perspective. It was extremely difficult to go through and reduced me to floods of tears. Thoughts and information were being communicated to me in the form of thoughts and visual images that would appear in my mind. I could absolutely feel they were being shown to me. I was able to see things about myself which I never realized. Why I act certain ways, and how I let fear dictate my life. I saw fear as a form of dark energy, stopping me from achieving my goal. I saw the love my parents had for me as a child and when I was a newborn baby. At this point, I literally felt myself lifted from my body as if I was a part of the universe. I began to feel literally how every single thing was connected and that our consciousness is all interconnected. I was shown that everything in this world has a purpose and a reason, including the reason we chose to be born into our particular life. Yes, believe it or not, we choose our life. I can assure you that even though this was all taking place in my mind, it was as real or even more real than our everyday waking life. The next part of my experience was not pleasant at all. It just became more and more intense. I felt as though I was dying. I'm convinced that when you die, the experience must be similar to this. I felt my entire being split into 1,000 pieces, and I could see the bad parts about myself, what you would call your demons. They manifested in the form of a dark shadow or entity. I was terrified, and I felt they were aware of my presence and were telling me that they were in control. Esteban must have sensed what was going on and came over to me as he saw me writhing around on my mat, sweating profusely. He began to chant near me and spread the sage smoke around me. I could literally see his chants in the form of energy. I watched the chanting literally banish these dark entities from my perception, and eventually I began to come back to what we call reality. Eventually I made it back to my small room and slept. I slept probably 12 hours straight. When I woke up the next day, I felt as if I was experiencing life from an entirely new perspective, and I had gratitude. Gratitude to be alive, healthy, and filled with the sense that there is something more. My fear, my depression, and my anxiety about my life washed away, just like the sea gently washes away the sand on a beach. I returned to the U.S. feeling renewed, but also totally confused about what I had just experienced. It almost felt like you just woke up from a strange dream, and you were drastically trying to hold on to tidbits of the details before they faded away. One thing is for sure, however, I was no longer living my life in fear. The reality we normally experience, I felt almost as if it wasn't real any longer after feeling the vast power of the universal consciousness. I had changed. My trip to the jungle opened up my eyes to the reality of not just how the world works, but also how the universe works. I decided to focus my time on my goals. I wanted to free myself of my job that I despised and pursue my dream of being a writer. I was determined to manifest my reality. And the thing is, I knew it was possible. I saw it that day in the Peruvian jungle. I saw that it is possible to manifest your reality. I just didn't know how to do it exactly. If I was going to leave my job, I either needed to suddenly get floods of steady writing work or find a way to build up a lot of money so that I would be able to leave my job. I was desperate to find stories of other people who managed to miraculously transform their wealth status. I spent hours sifting through forums and watching YouTube videos, looking for any glimmers of hope. I read every single thing I could about manifestation, meditation, chakras, religion, the universe. Heck, I even studied the works of Albert Einstein and the emerging field of quantum physics. One day, while researching how to manifest wealth, I managed to stumble onto the story of Cynthia, the 112 million Mega Millions lottery winner. She had claimed that she used the power of manifestation to not only win the lottery, but to win the exact amount she wanted. At first, I thought that this was a joke or some kind of fake story, but the more I looked into it, I knew that it was actually true. Previously, there was a lot of information readily available about her backstory, but over time, most of it had mysteriously vanished. In one of the interviews I saw with her, she talked about what happened to her on Mother's Day of 2007. An underage driver had tragically killed her brother, leaving his 5 young kids with no mother or father to take care of them. She was not a wealthy woman and desperately wanted to take care of her brother's children, but ultimately, she did not have the means necessary. She needed to get a bigger home for her and the 5 children. She found the area she wanted to live in, but her budget was far below what the homes were going for in that neighborhood. She told the real estate agent that she only had about half the amount of money required to buy a home there, but told her to keep looking for her. She said in an interview that she visualized the house she would get in her mind, clearly and in detail, on a daily basis, and kept telling herself she would get it. Then, one day, a few weeks later, the real estate agent called her back and told her she had miraculously found a house in that area and way below market value. She put in a bid, and it was accepted. This intrigued me because I had just finished reading a book about the power of the subconscious mind, where someone in the book did the exact same thing. They told the story of how they manifested their dream home. I pictured a white house with a picket fence, a swing in the yard, and a fireplace inside. It was not luck. It was either guardian angels or my own manifestations. Cynthia had done the same thing, possibly without realizing that she was tapping into the universe and manifesting her vision into reality. Cynthia, at the time, could no longer afford to take care of her brother's kids and had to turn them over to the state. She was determined to do whatever it took to get her brother's children back, so she focused her energy on winning the lottery. It was around this time that she discovered an old book in the garage of her home, which was left there by the old man who passed away. This book turned out to be about using your subconscious mind to manifest your desires. Are you now starting to see how the universe works? She had just sincerely and persistently asked the universe for help in getting her brother's children back. It just so happens that she got the house she wanted, which led her to the book that would ultimately open her mind up to the power of manifestation. She began envisioning herself winning the lottery on a daily basis. She even decided how much she wanted to win, which was $112 million. She came up with that particular number because it was a combination of her birthday, November 2nd, or 112. So you can see that she assigned a special numerical value to the amount of money she wanted to win, which was personally tied to her. She began sleeping with the amount of money she wanted to win written down on a piece of paper under her pillow every night. Delving further into Cynthia's backstory, I listened to her interviews on the likes of CNN and ABC News, where she gave more clues on what led to her money manifestation success. She revealed insightful nuggets of information, like that which you put your strongest feeling into has to manifest. It has to, good or bad. So why not manifest your best? Something that is so hard for us as humans? To just trust. Trusting in something that we cannot see. Just like we're breathing the air. We can't see it, but we're breathing it. When you say you're poor, it will circulate in your life. I started to sing it. I'm wealthy. The happy song. That's my song. But the quote that stood out to me the most was perhaps the simplest of the lot. Make friends with wealth. As you think, so shall it be. Cynthia said she had read about this "as you think, so shall it be" concept in ancient spiritual texts such as the Bible. She went on to start explaining how wealth is an energy. When you start saying that you are rich, wealth will come to you, and that you must learn to be comfortable with wealth, or it will be repelled from you. She was also a deep believer in intention. You have to have a reason for what you want, and if it is something that you want that will help other people, there is a much higher likelihood that you will succeed in getting what you want. Another key point she kept mentioning was that negative people are not just bad to be around, they damage your energy, or what some people call your chakras. You must do your best to eliminate negative energy in the form of negative people around you. Have you ever spent time with someone who is never happy and finds fault with almost everything? It's not very fun, is it? Have you noticed how draining it is to be around these people? That's because it's actually having an effect on your chakras as well as your psyche, and this can absolutely affect your ability to manifest wealth. Day by day, she ingrained the self-empowering beliefs into her subconscious until it actually happened, and she won the exact amount of money she asked for, and she was able to get her brother's children back. Except this time, they were not living in the cheapest house in the neighborhood. They moved into a mansion. I didn't come from a religious family, so I was cynical at first. But after remembering what happened to me in the Amazonian jungle with my shamanic experience, those feelings of doubt disappeared. If there is one thing I am sure of, it's that the reality we perceive around us is literally just the tip of the iceberg as to what is out there. Our brains are like radios, tuned into this particular frequency on our plane of existence. We are only viewing one channel, but there are many, many other ones out there. There is much more to reality than you think. Right now, you're probably sitting in a chair listening to my story, or possibly watching this on your cell phone. Well, what if I told you that the chair you're probably sitting in right now isn't a solid chair at all? Instead, it's made up of energy. This may sound weird, but it is a scientifically proven fact by several Nobel Prize-winning physicists, including Niels Bohr. He was once quoted saying, "If quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real." Niels Bohr. Researches of quantum physics have shown that physical atoms are not made up of matter. Instead, they are made up of whirling energy clouds, constantly vibrating and spinning. The more you magnify an atom with incredibly powerful microscopes, the more you begin to see that there is nothing physical about them. Each atom emits its own unique energy signature, just like we do as human beings. The power of our conscious thoughts, and also our subconscious, is much more powerful than you could ever know. When you begin to think of things in terms of energy and vibrations, things begin to make more sense when talking about how it's possible you can manifest things into existence. Although that may be incredibly shocking, it is absolutely true. Matter not being solid is just one thing that is a misconception. Leading scientists from around the world are now starting to come to the realization that the universe is not what we perceive it to be, and may simply be a type of giant hologram, or matrix, if you will, that we interpret as reality. Before you dismiss this as crazy, consider that this was Stephen Hawking's final theory he was trying to prove before he passed away in 2018. Consider also what Nikola Tesla said. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And in just the past year or so, physicists were able to successfully teleport a proton and an electron, taking advantage of some newly discovered principles of quantum physics. It is only a matter of time before it may be possible to teleport an entire human being to some remote place in the distant universe. Why does this really matter to you? Well, it's showing you that the once thought of concept of teleportation is possible. And I know that it's just a matter of time before the principles of manifestation are finally not looked on with skepticism by those who do not understand it, but accepted as an absolute fact. I already know that it's real because I've seen it with my own eyes, and I practice it on a daily basis. You see, once you start understanding the way the universe and reality really works, you will start to realize that there is much more than meets the eye. Everything is a form of energy, and energy can be manipulated. Just like we are able to control and harness the enormous amounts of energy flowing through hydroelectric dams, it is also possible to control, manipulate, and harness the energy of wealth, and even what we call luck. While I was learning more about all of these mysteries, I began to apply what I was learning to my life situation. I continuously visualized my success until, at some point, I began to believe it, and it really started to manifest for me. One day, I had a dream about being in a coffee shop and talking with a guy in a distinctly gray suit. When I awoke, I couldn't remember what we had been talking about, but I just had an overwhelming feeling that it was important. A few days later, I stopped at my favorite coffee shop like I had always done, and lo and behold, there was a gentleman in a gray suit, just like I had seen in my dream a few days prior. After I grabbed my coffee, I walked by him and saw he was reading a magazine about travel, and of all places, it happened to be about Peru. I casually said, "Have you ever been to Peru? It could change your life if you haven't." He laughed and said no, but that he was planning a trip, much like the one I had taken. After what must have been an hour of me describing my experience in the jungles of Peru, the gentleman finally introduced himself to me. "By the way, I'm Steve," he said excitedly. He went on to mention that he worked as a publisher for a rather large online company. I'd mentioned that I was a writer toward the end of our conversation, and Steve gave me his email address. He told me to send him some of my work because they were always looking for talented writers. The very next day, I sent Steve over some of my work, and after a few days, he replied to me and asked if I'd be interested in writing a few articles for an online journal about my experience I had in the jungles of Peru. I was expecting him to offer me $75 for my article, so when he offered $375, I was shocked. Writing, for me, was not work. It was a passion, and it was all I had ever wanted to do. It's curious how things happened. Did I manifest myself having that dream, which caused me to introduce myself to Steve? Or were things in motion well before this, starting with when I went to the jungle in Peru? After all, I probably wouldn't have captured his attention unless I could tell him about my experience there. I will never know, but I do know that my thoughts, my desires, and the universe made it happen. I knew it. I knew that I had started the process, and I was visualizing the day when I would be able to walk away from my job. As I got more and more work from Steve, I focused my thoughts on visualizing myself quitting my job. I pictured myself on a tropical beach with my laptop, sipping on strawberry daiquiris while writing. But as the months went by, nothing had happened yet. I was making more money, but not enough to justify quitting my job. I started to reevaluate my situation, and that's when it dawned on me. Swallowing my pride, I returned to Cynthia's testimonial. She spoke about the lead up to her big wealth breakthrough, and it dawned on me that I hadn't paid enough attention to one key detail. I thought I should share this detail with you in case you've been missing it too. Here it is. Cynthia managed to avoid falling into the trap of manifesting for her own gain. This is where most people, just as I did, seem to go wrong on this journey. They want money for their own freedom, for their own lifestyle. And if I'm honest, my early manifestations weren't optimal because I was always picturing how having more money would benefit me, not others. Cynthia approached the whole thing differently. She reflected on how my purpose was just to take care of my brother's kids. It wasn't because I wanted to win the money so that I could be wealthy. I wanted the money so that I could get a good attorney to fight the system. Now, dear viewer, this is a crucial part of manifestation success that you rarely hear being spoken about. Cynthia had a bigger purpose for attracting wealth. She wanted to use the money to hire an attorney so that she could have rightful ownership of her brother's kids who'd been left behind after he passed away, and give them a stable family home to grow up in, rather than get fostered within the social services system. So essentially, her motivation was to use the money for good. And I hope you don't mind me asking you here and now, if you were to attract large sums of money into your life over the coming weeks and months, how would you plan to use it? The reason I ask this is because I noticed that when I paid attention to how I could be a positive force in the world with the money I manifested, it finally happened. I decided that I wanted to help other writers, just like myself, find work and help lead them to a path of financial freedom. That's when I decided to create a platform that matched up writers and writing clients. An open marketplace, if you will, for freelance writers and people looking for written content. Before I knew it, I had thousands of writers signed up, and more clients were using my service to find writers. After it grew more and more, I eventually was making a lot more money than I was at my insurance job, so I finally decided to quit, just like I had envisioned I'd do for the longest time. I began living my best life, mainly because I had convinced myself that I deserved it. I went from living in a small apartment with a job I didn't enjoy and a salary that was barely enough to live on, to having more money than I could have ever dreamed about. Although I may not be a famous movie star, I can almost assure you that my life is just as good, because I have learned how to achieve whatever it is that I desire, including true happiness. You see, many people make the mistake of sabotaging their own happiness without even realizing it most of the time. Deep down, they do not think they can be happy, deserve to be happy, will ever be wealthy or successful. What they are doing is manifesting their destiny, but just not in a way that benefits them. As time went on, I continued studying and researching everything I could about manifestation, chakras, and other incredibly successful people who admitted to using the powers of manifestation. I suddenly had another idea. Without realizing it, I'd become somewhat of an expert on the topic and have actually manifested my own reality, exactly how I wanted it, just like Cynthia did when she won the $112 million in the lottery. I decided it was time to once again try to help others, but this time in a much greater way. This time, I wasn't just helping writers find some work. I was going to help people realize their dreams and achieve financial freedom, just like Cynthia did. Although I went through a very bad breakup with my ex-girlfriend, it gave me the courage after going through that to take a trip to the Peruvian jungle, which ultimately changed my life when I saw the very nature of reality and realized for the first time that there was something much more incredible than I realized going on all around us. Cynthia had also once said, "Some changes look negative on the surface, but you will soon realize that space is being created in your life for something new to emerge." Now, I don't see myself as some hero here, but I'll tell you something. I am sick and tired of seeing so much misinformation out there about attracting money. Like the expensive wealth coaches who drain you of your money more often than they make people rich with their extortionately priced $10,000 packages. It's so frustrating to me that people live their entire lives without knowing what it's like to have happiness and wealth. I've decided it's my new mission in life to make an impact to change this, and I feel like I've gone through everything I did because this was my ultimate purpose, to help others. I wanted to create something that was extremely easy to use and would help anyone, no matter where they were in their life or what their background was, to take full advantage of these manifestation shortcuts to wealth, freedom, and happiness. After fine-tuning my program over the next 6 months, it was finally ready. I decided to call it the 5 Pillars of Plenty. Once you have mastered my system, the doors of manifestation will burst open to you, and you'll be able to claim all of the abundance, success, freedom, wealth, love, and happiness that you desire. It's as simple as that. The difficult part is actually achieving it, which is why I created a simple system that will help anyone do this with next to zero effort. You won't have to take a death-defying trip to the Amazonian jungles and go through a harrowing experience like I did, where you are potentially putting your life at risk. You won't have to spend hundreds of hours piecing together clues about how to achieve amazing results with manifestation, like I did. You won't have to spend your hard-earned money to go to a hypnotherapist in order to have them try to hypnotize you into being happy. Yes, I tried that, and no, it does not work. I have partnered with a sound engineer that I had met while in Peru to help me utilize the latest techniques in manifestation to help interact directly with your subconscious mind and clear your chakras using binaural beats, isochronic tones, positive reprogramming affirmations, and also mystic mantras. These customized audio and guided meditation tracks each serve a specific purpose, which ultimately will result in you being able to master the ability of manifestation. These are the exact same principles Cynthia and many other very successful gods of manifestation used to achieve incredible results. The only difference is, instead of taking months or years to master, you can interact directly with your subconscious and reprogram your mind using these easy-to-digest audio tracks. Right from the comfort of your own home, while you're laying in bed drifting off to sleep, on your drive to work in the morning, or even with your headphones while at the gym. The program's scientific yet spiritual tools are full of amazing audio cues for the universe to hear your dreams and desires in a matter of moments. And after aligning myself with these cues, the shifts in my financial standing continue to astound me. My income has increased by at least 15% each month, sometimes more, as long as I continue to use this system. And this is without me having to put in any more effort than the month before. Without any stupid office meetings, late nights stressing about deadlines, or a mean boss belittling you. I'm free of it all, and you can be too. I now have a dream home office with the ocean view that is as fine as ever. Whenever I want to write, I sit down with a refreshing drink, and my cat curls up on the couch across the room. It's heaven for creative-type people like me. This is all made possible by my ability to manifest wealth. If it weren't for this, I would still be stuck at my miserable job, just trying to figure out ways to make my life bearable, let alone enjoyable. Now, I know you're wondering, what exactly is my 5 Pillars of Manifestation program? So let me explain. Each P will consist of an audio track that has customized audio designed to directly influence your subconscious and open up your chakras so that you may be more able to directly interact with the universe. While I was going through my experience in the jungles of Peru, during one of the most difficult points, Esteban came over to me and started to chant. I was literally able to visualize the music during my vision and watch it decimate the negative energy that was surrounding me and plaguing my spirit. This is the power of sound and music, and it's the same power that I'm going to share with you, and it will liberate you as well. While some of my students have called this magic, the 5 P's are symmetry of science and spirit. The first P represents picturing or visualization. This track is a guided meditation to help you focus in on your goal and visualize it in your mind. This is just where your thought begins to take form. For example, you may make your intention known that you want to win the lottery. Next, we will narrow down the details of your vision. This P is for precision. You have to plan out exactly what you want. The more clearly you are able to envision what you want, the better chance of it succeeding. For example, Cynthia said she wanted to win exactly $112 million. We then move on to the next P, which is peace. This track contains specific binaural beats designed to help open your chakras up for creativity and empathy. You need to start expanding on your vision and think about how you can use this to help others, which will ultimately help yourself. Part of the equation here is also about protecting your psyche, and this audio track will do just that. This P is for protection. It will help remove negative energy surrounding you, as well as cleanse your chakras. The final P is for patience. By trusting the process and not getting distracted from your goals, this is the final piece of the puzzle. This audio track contains isochronic tones that will open you up spiritually, and when combined with all of the other audio tracks, will help supercharge your root chakra, which is directly responsible for wealth manifestation. You'll get instant access to these custom-made manifestation tracks. I've also got a couple of bonuses for you as well. Of course, this is not all I have for you. I've created an illustrated guide that teaches you more in depth on how to master manifestation. I call it Mastering Manifestation. It will show you 7 different experiments you can do to not only test manifestation principles out for yourself, but to strengthen your manifestation ability to generate wealth. I've also included 7 accompanying audio tracks that go along with mastering manifestation. Because I want to make this as easy as possible for you, I've included a few extra bonuses that will really make sure you succeed. Bonus number 1. I've created a quick start guide that will describe exactly how to get started using these audio tracks, how many times to listen to them, when to listen to them, and when it's time to move to the next audio track. Bonus number 2. I have also created another amazing feature for you to ensure you get the most out of the 5 Pillars of Plenty program. I've taken all the audio tracks and created a mobile app. You will now be able to work on your manifestation, your vision, your goal, anywhere you go using a pair of headphones and your smartphone. This is an $80 per year value by itself. Yours, absolutely free. Now, I know you're wondering, how much would something like this cost? Well, let me ask you this. What would you pay in order to achieve your wildest dreams, financial freedom, and total happiness? If you're like most people, you'd pay almost anything. But I'm not going to charge $5,000 for this. I'm not even going to charge $500 for this. I'm only asking for a one-time donation of the price you see below, so that I can cover the cost of running my website, pay a few of my employees to help cover some of the other expenses. That's it. Literally for less than the price of a new pair of pants, you could have access to over 10 hours of customized audio, my manifestation app, and the accompanying guides that could literally change your life. These are the exact same principles Cynthia uses to win $112 million, and people like Jim Carrey used to achieve massive fame and wealth. Every day, there are more than 1,700 millionaires created in the United States alone. Isn't it time you joined their ranks and achieved their ranks while creating abundance for others as well? You will get instant access to my system, even if it's 3 a.m. To make this even better, we offer a 60-day, no questions asked refund policy, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. But I must warn you, with floods of people finding out about my program over the last several weeks, I'm not sure how much longer I will be able to accept new students. So if you're able to become a member, Please act now, because there is no telling how soon I'll be forced to stop taking new people. And remember, I'll be there for you personally every step of the way through email. I love getting emails from my students about the results they've received, and nothing makes me happier than being able to help so many people. So the way I see it is that you have to make a choice. Is it better to regret something you have done or something you haven't? You can continue on with your life and struggle with your finances, your boss, your happiness, like a hamster running endlessly on his wheel after a piece of cheese that is just always slightly out of reach. Or you can make a choice to change your life right now. There are no accidents. There is a reason you came across this page today, because believe it or not, your higher self knew it was time you made changes in your life. Just like the universe knew it was time to begin my journey by heading to that fateful trip in the Amazonian jungles. Thousands of other people are using the same techniques as Cynthia right now to manifest wealth and freedom on a daily basis. Isn't it time that you did too? So let's make the next person reaching financial freedom you, as you transform into your own personal God of manifestation. Thanks for hearing my story, and I'll see you on the other side. Just click the button below to join while you still can.